for all of the European Union members break down the union. Before I move on to my argument, please allow me to give the government main full rebuttal. The full rebuttal against the idea of how the government have appeared and talk about they are not prioritize money over right because they can make sure that the second language, the language that the country uses as the first language still stand as the second language. But we see that the European Union send the message that all the other language is just a second language. It's not a prioritize. And we see that if the European Union do like us, the people will not accept that because the people will think that we shouldn't be the government, the European Union should not discriminate their own culture, should not discriminate their right to speak. The second rebuttal against the idea of how you talk about the culture can be shared and people will happily be using the same language. We see that how is that going to happen? Because of people still think in the first hand that we already have discriminated by the idea that the European Union don't accept the idea. People will think that my culture, my language already destroyed by the idea that, and the culture that you say that will exchange by using the same language will not happen because that culture have been destroyed by your idea. And even if it's not the case, we see that the government cannot make sure that the second language will stand in the European Union. We cannot make sure that the people will not destroy it. And the third rebuttal against the idea of you talk about the European Union goal is to work together and is to create our economic better. But we said that basically European Union goal is also talk about human rights, right to have their own culture, right to speak. And even if it is not the case, we see that by going with the government side, it's going to create a better economic downturn because you already create a conflict in the society, and we believe that by the conflict in the society, it later create the economic downturn within the European Union because it created diverse in the society, because it created diverse in the country itself. And before I move on to my argument,
Do you have any proof of how the European Union fall after we change your currency?
Thank you so much. That is what I will talk in my argument. Thank you so much. Move on to my argument. My argument is about how going with the government side create the consequence to the economy of the European Union itself. The principle behind this argument is that when it goes to the government side, the people will feel discrimination within the society. People will start to protest against the idea that why the European itself make our language seem like the second language. People will not understand that. People will not accept that because people still think that I want my language to be the best. Because you cannot make sure to us that other country in the European Union will accept those official language. How can you make sure that other countries will think that this language is the best? You cannot make sure to us, and we say that if you cannot make sure on that point, the protest will be stand. Because we have seen that if people still have a diverse in the idea, to have a conflict in their mind, there will be more conflict coming into the society. So move on to my second. I have two levels of qualification to present to you today. The first level of qualification is about how having only one language destroy its own economy. We believe that when it creates a conflict within the society, when it creates conflict within the nation, because we cannot make sure that which country will use which language. We see that the economy, they will create a conflict, and when the other people start to talk against each other, because that conflict, the economy of within the country will be seen as bad. Because first of all, we see that the conflict in the society made the people cannot feel the same, and that lead to it may lead to the diversity in the European Union itself. And when that leads to the European Union diversity, we see that the economy will be failed because the European Union start to angry at each other and start to fight and shit after that. What would be the official language? I think the government side fail to make sure fail to prove to us that the other people in the country, in the nation, and in the European Union will accept that fact. And if the government in the society cannot accept that fact, we see that the economy that you prove to us that trade will be bringing to the country because we can speak the same language. We say that this thing cannot happen because people start to not talking to each other, because people start to think that our country is bad, and because of this reason, we see that the people in the country will stay away from other countries, and we say that this will create a conflict within the European Union itself. Move on to the second level of clarification. When it creates a conflict within the European Union itself, it sends a message to other countries, other nations in the world that European Union is not as strong as before, because the European Union has a conflict within the country.
On that point,
And within that conflict, it will make other nation, other country think that European Union is not capable of being a European Union, and it will even make the economy of the European Union fail even more. And with all the reasons, we see that there are no narrative coming from the government side that why we need to have only one official language, why we should not have and go with the status quo, because we see that with our mechanism, with going with the status quo, that the economy is still growing. The economy doesn't turn down. We say that by going with one official language, the government side are also fail to prove to us that how it will create no conflict and how it really can create the increasing in the economy itself. What I have told you so far is about how if by going with the government side create the conflict within the society, and with that conflict within the society, it later create a conflict within the nation, and when it creates conflict within the nation, it later create a conflict within the union, and when it later create a conflict within the union, it means that the other country will see the conflict, and with the other country see that conflict. We say that the European Union will not be seen as strong as before, and with this reason, we see that the economy of the European Union will be seen as a downturn, and we believe that the government side come up here and talk about how money, how trade is more important over right. We see that our side believe that the culture, the language of the other nation should be preserved, should be used for the other generation, for the next generation. And with all this reason, we believe that the idea of single official language for all of the European Union members breaks down the union. Thank you very much.